at retreats and other places, when I do this to greet people, I interpret this a lot of ways. I was watching Bishop Jim the other night. Always. Namaste. Wisdom and compassion. Right brain, left brain, whole brain, past, future, this moment. It's extremely important that we continue to deepen our understandings of our symbols. Our symbols are not dead. We may be. Thich Nhat Hanh likes to say, well, some of you know I grew up in the Pentecostal church, so I'll warn you. I have notes, but I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. Really. Somebody asked me at dinner. So things come to me, and so I'll share them with you. Thich Nhat Hanh likes to say that the kingdom of God is always available. The question is, are you available for the kingdom? Are you present for the miracle of your own life and all of life that is around you? What if we were already living in paradise? I was walking my little dog the other night past some birds of paradise. Beautiful, giant ones in my neighborhood, and I was thinking, well, if this isn't paradise, look up at the blue sky, the gray sky, the silvery moon, hear the voice of robins and hawks, and see the smiles in this room, and you must ask yourself, if this is not paradise, where would it be? Where would it possibly be? And there are only two things in the context of the subject I'm dealing with now, which is, for those of you who are interested in such things, inter-religious engagement and cultural transformation. Another really broad topic, but very, very important. Now, I want to read a poem for you. It's also a suggestion of my wife. I wasn't planning to do this. She mentioned it before I left, and then she called just a bit. I have been hurt by falling dreams, tumbling down like great stones, from the mountain of hope cracking open my heart. I have had the feeling of losing everything. The sound of being ground up by the world of endurance, tired and sad and weary, and my heart overflowing with tears. I have met my own fury coursing through my veins as a silent illness, because life did not go my way. I even thought the moon stole my shoes. I searched everywhere, over the green countryside, the crowded city streets, the brown desert, the snow-capped mountain, and even the dust of stars. I found myself wrapped in clouds of doubt, but in the softness of one holy night, the Dharma rain fell. The sky cleared. I looked down and discovered that my shoes had been on my feet all along. My pure heart and pure mind have not been crushed or destroyed by this world's experiences of disappointment, hatred, violence, and discrimination. My deepest desire at this very moment is to be a poem and to live a prayer that encourages more love in this world. I'm going to approach this topic from the point of view of two assumptions, basically. One is that I'm going to talk about them simultaneously as if they are one, religion and culture. Because if you dig into one, you'll come out in the other. The second assumption is that religion and culture are made of non-religious and non-cultural elements. Religion and culture are made of history and family and society and stories and economics and politics and time and space and happiness and sadness, the human experience. So those two assumptions I'm going to operate out of as I share some reflections on this topic. The first point is that the forces, we are experiencing a tsunami that I want to call modernity. Some people would say post-modernity. But we are experiencing a tsunami. We're experiencing a set of forces. One way I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning and I thought one way of describing this talk is, for those of you who like previews, I have bad news. I have really bad news. I have good news. And I have really good news. If you want 4 points to make a number. So, this tsunami of modernity, the forces across the planet, some people describe as technology. I was watching people today who had so many gadgets they didn't know which one to go to first. You know, some of this stuff, even when I was growing up, would be considered science fiction. And we just play with it. And the generation, Emmanuel, my son, is a software engineer. And he can start talking, and I have absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Except it's in my PC. It's in my laptop, and it's in the communication between such technologies. And technologies, you know, are a two-edged sword, and they always have been. They always will be. Our will can bend the use of technology toward the arc of evil or toward the arc of good. That's one of the forces. It's going to continue. It's changing everything. One of the recent reports on the state of radical Islam is the newest recruitment strategy is the internet. But that's not also true about radical Islam. That's also true about neo-Nazis. I want to come back to the internet. Second force is the force of what some people call secularism. And secularism has a bunch of people freaked out. We're losing our values. We're losing our traditions. Well, you can if you want to. I'm not. And there is an illusion. I mean, there is this idea that in response to this secularism, some people think it is a utopian dream, that everything is now secular or becoming secular, and we will be able to grow up from religion. I mean, this is leftover stuff from the Enlightenment, as you know. So we are growing up now. And so religion has no place. And you all know this more than most people. That is one of the most dangerous assumptions you could possibly make at this time in history. Religion is always an issue. Meaning is always an issue. Culture, story, symbol is always an issue because it's human. We can't get away from it. The third one, which is the one I really want to focus on for this topic, is the force of pluralism. Now, we've heard a lot already in the previous talks that have been given about cultural diversity, demographics, both in society and students and faculty. I want to talk about this kind of in a different way. First, I want to talk about the plurality of communication and mobility. Absolutely revolutionary. You know, we just hop on airplanes and go places, or trains, and so, you know, the greatest migration in human history is actually happening at this very moment for people all across the planet. Most of it's regional, but people are moving for lots of different reasons. Some are fleeing oppression and war. Others are looking for economic opportunities. Others are fleeing tragedy and loss. But mobility like even 100 years ago no one would ever have imagined, is now normal. And with that mobility comes a plurality of worldviews, a plurality of ideas, a plurality of questions. Well, why do you do it that way? Why do you eat that way? Why do you talk that way? Why do you walk that way? Why do you study that way? Why do you read that way? A plurality of ideas about what it means to be human. Simply, you can look at a menu in a big city or even a small town now. It's incredible. A plurality of ideas. And I could give the whole talk on that there in time. The third one that comes, the fourth one, thank you. Oh, a plurality of economic, cultural, and political powers. This one is rocking people's worlds. It's going on right now in Copenhagen. You can know, whoever you are in the world, as a nation, you can no longer just tell other people what to do. Party's over. Not happening here. That's both economic. My boss at the hospital where I work was talking to me last week in my monthly meeting with her, and she was saying that, you know, China is kicking our butt. That's a quote. And when I was in China 10 years ago, studying at some monasteries over there, I said to Peggy, you know, if I was 20, this is where I'd be. There is energy there. There is movement. And, you know, we read books about this. The rise of the East, etc. India. Boy. Oh boy. And I don't mean there isn't innocent suffering still present in these places. You know there is. Just like you also know there's innocent suffering present right here in this town. It's not to ignore that. It is not to escape from that. But it's to be clear about the forces that are going on in the world reshaping our understanding of who and what we are. I think the last one I mentioned to myself, and this has resulted in an epidemic of individuation. And I don't mean epidemic as negative. I mean it as a phenomena of individuation. Hence my response to the reporter. Well, I can be whoever I want to be. I was leading a retreat at Deer Park Monastery outside of San Diego, and this was several years ago. And every retreat we have like breakout groups where people can get together after and have their own sessions and look at issues, and they usually organize themselves around issues. And so I was on the organizing committee, and so one of the nuns came to me and said, there's a group of people who want to have a group titled gay, well, check, no news. Lesbian, no news to me. And then she said transgender. And it was like, tilt. I'm reminded of a Zen story that I really like. Two frogs. A pond frog and an ocean frog. And the ocean frog is visiting the pond frog, trying to explain to the pond frog what the ocean is like. And he finally convinces him to pay a visit. And so the pond frog joins the ocean frog. They take a journey to where the ocean frog lives. And when the pond frog gets there, he looks up and his head explodes. I love this story. Because that's my experience of living in the 21st century. Categories are just crashing all around us. In the last U.S. Census, there was a 42% increase in the number of people. You know, you get boxes you can check. You get to be black, you can be white, you can be Latino, you can be Asian Pacific. Okay? The 43% increase in the number of people who checked other. So people who are still having issues around black and white, you need to get caught up on what's going on in this world. The new Prime Minister of Japan, 2 months ago, came forward in public and said, I will admit that there is some Korean blood in my family line. And they were just stunned. Stunned silence.